This is a very profound, bizarre, transformative moment in the Gita. Arjuna now understands that Krishna is the divine. He is Bhagavan. He is God. He is the root and the substance, the beginning, the middle, and end of all things. But he's saying, I still want to see you. I really want to see you, Lord. As the Beatles said, this is the form. He wants the divine form. And so this chapter is called Vishvarupa Darshana Yoga. Vishvarupa. It's the chapter of the describing the form, the boundless form. We are in chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. Again, for those of you who have just joined or are joining for the first time, it doesn't matter where you are joining, even if this is the first moment. For example, the first words of this chapter, anugraha, compassion, kindness. The first word will have so much profound meaning, so much value. And it's interesting that even if we just pause on that first word, mad anugraha, paramam, you have taught me this science of the soul, he calls it. Adhyatman. Adhyatman is the science of the soul. You have taught me this science of the soul out of kindness. You share this with me out of kindness, out of compassion. And so this week, there was the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday, which was celebrated in many places around the world. And, you know, I love the Dalai Lama. I think he's a force of goodness, force of compassion. And for me, Hanumanji is the representation of the Buddhist idea of bodhisattva. Like he shows us how that being that doesn't want heaven or doesn't want liberation, but wants to stay here to relieve suffering, to be here and relieve suffering wherever we are. And so with that first word of the Gita being compassion and kindness, and the idea of the Dalai Lama's mission to be a force for goodness and compassion, I thought I would read something very quickly from this book of Pema Chodron, which is Becoming Bodhisattva. And the chapter that I really love in this book is chapter 3 of the Bodhisattvas, the way of the Bodhisattva. And I'm going to very quickly read those verses, just so that they sit with you. They're not, I think, aligned with the entire chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, but they're relevant with this first word, anugraha. Anugraha is everything. Compassion. Out of compassion we act. So chapter 3, something very profound, transcending hesitation. You know, all of us, we commit to things, but we are not really there. Should I do this? Shouldn't I do that? Is this the right path for me to take? Is this the wrong path for me? This is the path of no hesitation. Hanumanji does not hesitate for a moment. Prabhas nagara kij sab kaja, hridaya rakhi kaushalapura raja. Having the Lord within your heart, go about your work. The mountain will become like a grain of sand. The ocean will become the size of a cow's footprint. The enemy will become your friend. Even fire will become cool. So go about your work, no hesitation. Okay, Bodhisattva. How do we transcend hesitation? With joy, I celebrate the virtue that relieves all beings from the sorrows of states of loss and places those who languish in realms of bliss. I rejoice in virtue that creates the cause of gaining the enlightened state, and celebrate the freedom won by living beings from the round of pain. And in Buddhahood of the protectors I delight, and in the stages of the Buddha's offspring. The intention, ocean of goodness for all, that seeks to place all beings in the state of bliss. May all beings be in the state of bliss. And every action for the benefit of all beings. Such is my delight and my joy. And so I join my hands and pray. The Buddhas who reside in every quarter, kindle now the Dharma's light for those who grope, bewildered in the darkness of suffering. I join my hands beseeching the enlightened ones who wish to pass beyond the bonds of sorrow. Do not leave us in this ignorance. Remain among us for unnumbered ages. And through these actions now performed, by all the virtue I have just amassed, may all the pain of every living being be wholly scattered and destroyed. For all those ailing in the world, until their every sickness has been healed, may I myself become for them the doctor, nurse, and medicine itself, raining down a flood of food and drink. There's go, Dharmic. Raining down a flood of food and drink. May I dispel the ills of thirst and famine, and in the ages marked by scarcity and want, may I myself appear as drink and sustenance. For sentient beings, poor and destitute, may I become a treasure ever plentiful, and lie down before them closely in their reach, a varied source of all that they might need. My body thus, and all my goods besides, and all my merits gained and to be gained, I give them all away without withholding nothing, to bring about the benefit of all beings. Nirvana is only attained by giving everything. Nirvana, the object of my striving. Everything, therefore, must be abandoned, and it is best to give it all away to others. This body I have given up to serve the pleasure of all living beings. Let them kill and beat and slander it, and do whatever they desire. And though they treat it like a toy or make it the butt of every mockery, my body has been given up to them. There is no use now to make so much of it. And so let beings do to me whatever not bring them injury. Whenever they catch sight of me, let this not fail to bring them benefit. If those who see me entertain a thought of anger or devotion, may these states supply the cause whereby their good and wishes are fulfilled. All those who slight to see my face, or do me any other evil, even if they blame or slander me, may they attain the fortune of enlightenment. May I be a guard for those who are protectorless, a guide for those who journey on the road, for those who wish to go across the water. May I be a boat, a raft, a bridge. May I be an island for those who yearn for landfall, and a lamp for those who long for light, for those who need a resting place, a bed, for all those who need a servant. May I be their slave. May I be the wishing jewel, the vase of plenty, a word of power and the supreme healing. May I be the tree of miracles, and for every being the abundant cow, like the earth and the pervading elements, enduring as the sky itself endures. For boundless multitudes of living beings, may I be their ground and sustenance. Thus, for everything that lives, as far as the limits of the sky, may I provide their livelihood and nourishment until they pass beyond the bonds of suffering. Just as all the Buddhas of the past, embrace the awakened attitudes of the mind, and in the precepts of the bodhisattvas, step by step, abode and trained. Just so, and for the benefit of all beings, I will also have this attitude of mind, and in those precepts, step by step, I will abide and train myself, that this most pure and spotless state of mind might be embraced and constantly increased. The prudent and the prudent who have cultivated it should praise it highly in such words as these: Today my life has given fruit. This human state, which has now been well assumed. Today I take my birth in the Buddha's line and have become the Buddha's child and heir. In every way, then, I will undertake activities befitting to such a rank, and I will do no action to cause harm to anybody or compromise this high and faultless lineage. For I am like a blind man who has found a precious gem within the mound of filth. Exactly so, as if by some strange chance, the enlightened mind has come to birth in me. This is the draught of immortality that slays the Lord of Death, the slaughterer of all beings, the rich, unfailing treasure mine to heal the poverty of wanderers. It is the sovereign remedy that perfectly allies all maladies. It is the wishing tree bestowing rest on those who wander wearily the pathways of existence. It is the universal vehicle that saves all wandering beings from the state of loss. The rising moon of the enlightened mind that soothes the sorrows born of the afflictions of this world. It is a mighty sun that utterly dispels the gloom and ignorance of all these wandering beings. The creamy butter, rich and full, all churned from the milk of this holy teaching. Living beings, wayfarers, all of you, upon life's paths, who wish to taste the riches of contentment, here before you is the supreme bliss. Here, O ceaseless wanderers, is your fulfillment. And so, within the sight of all protectors, I summon each one of you, every being, calling them to Buddhahood. Until that state is reached, to every earthly joy, may gods and demigods and all of the rest rejoice. This is our birthright. The commitment of a bodhisattva, the commitment of the path to increasing love and compassion and kindness in the world. The first words of this chapter are anugraha, kindness, compassion. Krishna acts out of compassion, that he wants Arjuna to understand that view. And today we joined hands with the King Center at Godharmic, with the King Center, Martin Luther King Jr. Center. And today they call it Be Love Day. And I thought that was beautiful with Ram Dass's book, Be Love Now. Today being love. And when I was reading about Martin Luther King Jr.'s experiences in India, he said, India really transformed me because I saw the poorest people I've ever known. I've seen, people without clothes. I've seen people without food, but yet generally they were very nice to each other, very loving, very kind. They're a kind people, and he experienced that softness that India has within the heart. And the spirituality really moved him and affected him, and the non-violence that I believe is the essence of love. Out of kindness you have proclaimed to me the science of the soul, which is the supreme secret. My illusion is now dispelled. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the origin and the dissolution of all beings, and about your inexhaustible glories, your boundless glories. O Supreme One, highest person, all that you have declared is true. I now desire to see your mighty form. O Lord, Master of mysticism, if you think that I can witness such a form, kindly show me your inexhaustible self. This is a so this is a very profound, bizarre, transformative moment in the Gita. Arjuna now understands that Krishna is the divine. He is Bhagavan. He is God. He is the root and the substance, the beginning, the middle, and end of all things. But he's saying, I still want to see you. I really want to see you, Lord. As the Beatles said, this is the form. He wants the divine form. And so this chapter is called Vishvarupa Darshana Yoga. Vishvarupa. It's the chapter of the describing the form, the boundless form. Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, behold hundreds and thousands of celestial forms, all with unlimited colors and shapes. Every form, every unlimited color, every being that you can imagine, all within the same divine emanation. Maharaji always told us, Sab ek, it's all one. Can't you see? It's all one. It's all one. See the Adityas, see the Vasus, see the Rudras. The Rudras are the Shivas, the Ashwins, and the Maruts. O descendant of Bharata, Bharata is India, Bharat, witness these marvels never before seen. In one place you may observe both the moving and the non-moving worlds. Arjuna, see here everything within my body. You cannot perceive me with these present eyes. I therefore give you the divine eyes. So Krishna says, with these mortal eyes, we cannot see God. But he gives him divyam chakshu, the eyes that can see divinity in its truest form. Behold my mystical wonder. Now, Sanjaya speaks. So remember, Sanjaya is the blind advisor to is the advisor to Dhritarashtra, the blind king, who is listening to this Bhagavad Gita. And Sanjaya says, O king, the great lord of mysticism, the great lord of mysticism, Krishna, then showed to the son of Pritha, Arjuna, the supreme majestic form. In the last three verses Krishna is described as the mystical. It's the mystical, like the word there uses, emphasizes the mystical. Now, what does Arjuna see when he sees Krishna's true form through these mystical eyes, these divine eyes? Arjuna saw endless mouths and eyes, unlimited wonderful sights, celestial ornaments, divine weapons raised on high. Arjuna sees infinite faces staring in all directions. He saw God adorned with divine garlands, celestial fragrances, garments, and ointments, all full of wonder. Divvi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yugapad Uttita Yadi Basadrisi Sasyad Basatasya Mahatmanaha. This is one for your wall. If 1,000 suns at once rose into the sky, the brilliance still could not outshine the radiance of that divine Lord. Arjuna then beheld the body of that God of gods, the whole universe standing as one being, and yet divided as many. Overwhelmed with amazement, hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed with folded hands and spoke to that great God. O Lord, I see you. O Lord, I see in your body, within your body, all of the gods and every living being. I see Brahma seated on the lotus. I see the saints and sages and all of the celestial serpents. O Lord of the universe, on all sides and with infinite form, I see you with unlimited arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, O universal form. O universal form, I see you without beginning, without middle, or without end. Shimmering with dazzling radiance, you are adorned with a crown, a club, a disc, with blazing fire and the brilliance of immeasurable suns burning on all sides. You are extremely difficult to behold. You are the imperishable, the highest of highest objects of knowledge, and the final resting place of this universe. Tvam aksharam paramam veditavyam tvam asya visvasya param nidanam. You are the resting place of the entire universe. You are the immortal protector of the everlasting Dharma, the Sanatana Dharma. I accept you as the most ancient spirit. Sanatanas tvam purushaha. You are the everlasting spirit, the eternal being within all beings. I see you without beginning, middle, or end, with infinite power and unlimited arms. Your eyes are the sun and the moon. I see you with blazing fire issuing forth from your mouth and scorching this world with effulgence. In all directions, you pervade heaven and earth. O great soul, the three worlds tremble upon seeing your wondrous and terrible form. So the divinity is both beautiful and terrifying. The form is beyond the duality of good and bad, right and wrong, yin and yang. It is the whole circle and everything beyond that. And it is terrifying and beautiful. There's a story in the Mahabharata of this great war, this very great war, that many of you will know, that Bhishma, Bhishma, sorry, Bhima, not, I always confuse them. Bhima, the strongest, most powerful of the five Pandava brothers, Arjuna's brother, Bhima, he was the strong one. He was like, Yudhishthira is the moral one. He wants to talk about Dharma. Arjuna is the skillful warrior. Arjuna wins Wimbledon tennis. He's the player that achieves that. But Bhima is the strong man. He's the big heavyweight boxer that wants to stand for strength and power. And it's interesting that Bhima kills all of the 100 Kauravas. He kills them all. So it's one of the five Pandavas that kills all of the other Kauravas. And the interesting thing is, before the war, Bhima tells his son, go and sit up on that mountain away from the war and watch me as I do this. Watch me as I kill all of these enemies. And so Bhima's smashing them on his leg, and he's throwing them over his shoulder, and he's spinning them on his finger, and he's hitting them with his club and hitting them on the other leg. And he's just like destroying all of these great warriors. And after the war, after this war, the war of Dharma that we are discussing in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhima goes up the mountain and swiftly approaches his son and asks him, "Did you see me kill all of these evil Kauravas? I killed so many of them. I did this, I did that." And his son says to him, "Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. All I saw was this huge form of Krishna with this spinning disc and all of these beings going into that disc and going out. And they were flying in all directions. And Krishna was doing everything. Like Ram does it all." It's so extraordinary, isn't it? That like we think we actually do things, that we have any role to play in that doing. Whereas in reality, the view was that the divine was doing it all, that it was all done by divinity. And we just have to pretend like it isn't. We just have to do our work to the best of our ability and to be that vehicle for the prasad. And Bhima was the stubborn one. Like he actually did have a strong ego. One of his negative qualities was being quite egocentric. And that's the difference between Bhima, who's also a son of the wind god Vayu. He is the brother of Hanuman. Bhima is the brother of Hanuman. And when we were in India, myself, Lakshman, a few other Maharaji devotees, we were roaming around the Himalayas, as you do, in some of the most ridiculously dangerous roads that I've ever seen in my life. We found this beautiful small Hanuman temple coming about 15 or 20 miles away from Badrinath, which is one of the four major dhams in the Himalayas. But it's extraordinary. And the Pujari was telling me that Neem Karoli Baba wanted this temple here. And Siddhima established the temple there. And it was gorgeous and beautiful. And the story goes that Hanuman lay here on the road, and his tail was blocking the path of the road. And Bhima and the Pandavas were walking up here in the Himalayas. And Bhima said, move, get out of the way of this road. We want to pass. And Hanuman wanted to teach him a little lesson in the ego. And he said, yeah, okay, I'll move. Bhima didn't recognize who he was. Okay, I'll move in the playful way that Maharaji and Hanuman play. But first you have to lift up my tail and move it. And so Bhima said that would be easy. He just couldn't pick up the tail. And he was trying to lift the tail, and then Hanuman was just giggling and, saying, look, you can't even move my tail. What power do you have? After Bhima had told him about all of his great strengths. And so this beautiful place was extraordinarily special. And we were up in Badrinath, up in the Himalayas, experiencing, the lightness that you feel up there. It's quite extraordinary. And there is a real spiritual air. And on the last day of our trip, we were up there for 4 or 5 days. On the last day, I had this urge and desire to just leave quickly. And I said, the rest of you can catch me up. And so it was quite strange because we were supposed to leave at, I think it was 7 a.m. or 8, whatever the time was. And a few people were lagging behind. They weren't there. They weren't ready. They weren't ready to leave. But something in me, I can't tell you what it was, said, I have to leave. And so completely irrationally, I jumped in the car with the driver and left the rest of the group. Lakshman is here as my witness. He was there. And I left the group by myself with the driver. And then I reached the Hanuman temple. And then I saw the pujari there, and I just got out and ran and said, can I come in? And normally the inner sanctum of a temple, people not allowed in, right? Like that's where the pujari goes. And so the pujari said to me, no, you come. And I was like, are you sure I'm allowed inside? And so he took me inside to the temple. The temple's only, maybe 1.5 meters square, like a tiny little thing with the Hanuman inside. And I sat inside with the pujari, and we were singing Hanuman Chalisas to Hanumanji, giving prasad to everybody that went past, and just having the most beautiful time in front of this temple. And he was telling me all about how Siddhi Ma established this beautiful temple, and how, it was so important that I came here, and that, this was a very, very special place for Neem Karoli Baba. And then I was there for about an hour and just completely blissed out. Like, I can't describe to you how I felt, that, spacious energy. And then about an hour later, the rest of our group comes down, trudging down the Himalayan hills, and they get out of the van, and I call them, and I like say, come. And this pujari had arranged all of this prasad, bhajiyas and chai and pakoras, and like all of these guys were outside the Hanuman temple, and we had a small bandara just standing here on the peak of this thing, surrounded by mountains, and this beautiful Hanuman temple where Hanuman and Bhima had this beautiful interaction thousands of years ago. And it's just, you can't describe, like, what is that? Why? I just feel that there is a mystical nature to these things that's beyond our mind. And we just learn to trust it, not to have faith in it, but trust it. I think there's a different, like, faith for me is actually belief in something. Like, this is just allowing it to happen. It's not of the mind. Belief is mind, right? Belief is here. Trust is here. Love is here. And so truth and God, that for me is a matter of the heart. And I can't explain that Leela up there in Badrinath. but I can say that that was meant to happen exactly how it happened, and be there. And I think one of the things that Krishna Das often reminds everybody, and he said it to me, is we are here doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing in the now. We're right here doing everything that's absolutely perfect. And everything is just happening according to that divine grace. I was speaking to somebody earlier and having a lovely heart-to-heart online, and she reminded me of Dada Mukherjee. And Dada was known as the exemplar devotee of Maharaji. And he would just trust that Maharaji had everything under complete control. And there was a moment where Maharaji was in a car with Krishnadas and Dada, and Maharaji banged his head really hard in the car. And KD was like, whoa, that's a really bad hit. He was like, oh my God, Maharaji really must have hurt himself, that was really bad. And then Dada said something, I'm paraphrasing here, but along the lines of, he meant to do it. You know, that was supposed to happen. He just trusted that Maharaji had it all under control, and it was perfect. So I think that trust is extremely precious. And in these verses of the Vishvarupa, I kind of, just coming back to that, see that, like Maharaji just said, can't you see it's all perfect? Can't you just see divinity in all directions? Can't you see that everything is divine? That sub-ek, more than any one teaching I've got through from Maharaji, more than even love all, feed all, serve all, which is like the work of my life, is sub-ek. It's all one. Like there is no difference. And there's a line in Miracles of Love where he says, it's better to see God everywhere than try to figure it out. Just allow God to be in all directions. I see you without beginning, middle, or end, with infinite power and unlimited arms. Your eyes are like the sun and the moon. I see you with blazing fire issuing forth from your mouth and scorching this world with your effulgence. In all directions, you pervade heavens and earths. O great soul, the three worlds tremble upon seeing your wondrous and terrible form. Assemblies of all the divine beings of the world enter into you. Out of fear, some praise you with hands folded. The great saints and sages and perfected beings cry out, peace be to all, and applaud you with wondrous hymns. The Rudras, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, the Vishvadevas, the Ashwins, the Maruts, and all of the forefathers, the hosts of Gandharvas, Yakshas, demons, perfected ones, good and bad, all behold you in wonder. O great armed Krishna, the whole world trembles as I do, seeing your monstrous form, with unlimited mouths, eyes, arms, thighs, and feet, and with so many bellies and dreadful fangs. O Vishnu, O Lord, my soul trembles, seeing you touch the sky, blazing with many colors, and mouths open wide with burning eyes. I can find no steadiness or no tranquility. I have lost all composure. I can find no peace, seeing your dreadful fangs and mouths like the fire of death. O God of gods, shelter me. from this view. Be merciful for me. Arjuna is literally begging Krishna now to take it away. I can't bear that vision. It's too much for me to bear. It's beyond like my ability to see this. I see all of these sons of Dhritarashtra, including Karna, the charioteer's son, along with Bhishma, Drona, and the hosts of kings and the chief warriors, all rushing headlong into your mouths, which are dreadful with terrifying fangs. Some are seen crushed between your teeth with heads smashed. Already he's seeing the end of the war in Krishna's mouth, just like what I spoke about earlier with Bhima. The last verse, this is of this section. As great rivers flow headlong into the ocean, so all of the heroes of mankind enter you, your blazing mouths. Everything is going back into God. It's all there already. As moths dash full speed into a blazing fire, so all these worlds enter headlong into your mouths to their final destruction. O Vishnu, O Krishna, your flaming mouths voraciously lick at the worlds from all sides. You scorch this entire world with your radiance and your terrible splendor. O Lord of Lords, who are you with such a terrible form? I bow before you. Be merciful. You are the primal one. What is your mission? I'm going to pause there on that where Arjuna and his feeling of realizing that God is, that reality is actually the root of all things. I mean, if for Neem Karoli Baba devotees, we would say is the Maharaji's big form. You know, like what is that big form? So often on the 15th of June, where thousands and thousands of beings are being fed, we said this is Maharaji's big form. Siddhima would say that this is the body of Maharaji coming to be to take prasad. And so I feel like those verses are truly vast, truly eye-opening to anything we have read up to now. Like a lot of the Gita so far has been helping us psychologically live our life, to develop bodhicitta, to develop values, to develop dharma, to develop right view. And now you have this beautiful vision that Arjuna has been granted, describing the nature of God. Like, how can anything be outside of our understanding of God after this? Like, how can there be any one religion and another religion outside of Sanatana? Like, that is not all encompassing when you have that kind of description of what God really is. And so I'll pause there. Maybe we can have a few moments if anybody wants to share anything that arises. We have a few minutes, and then we have something special today that I have my very dear friend Nicole, who's on the line, who will lead us in a short meditation as we close the session today. And thank you, everyone. We went quite quickly today. I thought that was an absolutely beautiful meditation, Nicole. Bringing the first word of the chapter 11 into the meditation so wonderfully. And as I'm going a little bit quick with the Gita for chapter 11, but we are going to slow down in chapter 12 and really get some juice out of bhakti yoga, which is so beautiful. So, looking forward to seeing you all next week. Stay safe. I hope to see some of you tomorrow. And thank you once again, Nicole. Be safe, everybody. Take good care of yourselves. Much love. Bye bye. Ram Ram.